Okay, things are getting out of hand. Sophie Cunningham is done remaining silent after something was thrown on the court once more during a WNBA game. She is criticizing the league and the supporters, and she is warning that someone will be harmed if this doesn't stop. The players are bearing the consequences as what was meant to be a historic season devolves into a circus. Because this was more than a strange occurrence. Fans weren't just being fans here. This was very out of pocket, unsafe, and disrespectful. This is what some fans decide to do, because the WNBA is having a historic season with record-breaking viewership, celebrity attendance, viral moments, and more eyes on the league than ever before. Mid-aim, throw actual toys on the court. Subscribe if you want to see the full article without any filters. And you had better subscribe if you plan to stay for the next meltdown. Let's go back. The Valkyries are fighting the Chicago Sky on a Friday night. The game is becoming hotter in the middle of the third quarter. A lime green object crashes through the stands and lands dead center on the court as tensions are at an all-time high. The players stop moving. The officials whistle. Indeed, the object is exactly what it appears to be. It rolls. It rebounds. It gleams because it naturally does. Sophie Cunningham, who has already had enough of this bullshit, is the only person in the stadium who appears to be in startled silence for a brief moment. She immediately turns to social media. Give up hurling on the court. One of us will be harmed by you. Furthermore, since this is no longer hilarious, she is not incorrect. It's risky. Let's discuss logistics. These fingers aren't foam. They're made of strong rubber. A few have suction cups. Some have circuitry inside of them. You risk suffering a real injury during professional play if that strikes someone in the head, eye, or knee. And for what? A TikTok video, a viral moment, or an eccentric attempt by a bored fan. This isn't fan involvement. This keeps going over the line. Cunningham is aware of it as well. She has already had to deal with spectators that don't appreciate the game. She has reportedly had to check her footing for wayward toys mid-aim, respond to hecklers with a clapback, and avoid absurdity in post-game interviews. That's a circus, not basketball. The worst part is still to come. The situation wasn't unique. 3 days prior, the same incident had interrupted a different Valkyrie game and the dream. Same chaos, same color, same thing. With less than a minute remaining in a tie game, it fell on a free throw line this time. Consider that. The night's most intense possession is yours. The players are locked in. Instructions are being shouted by coaches. Supporters are alert. Then, as if it were a part of the play, a neon green object swoops down from the stands and bounces a little before tearing across the court. It makes sense why the announcers were unable to maintain composure. Something flies on the court, explains Jacob Toby, trying to maintain his professionalism. Something that flew from a fan, I believe. With the most diplomatic approach conceivable, Morgan Reagan does her best analysis when a real toy is 5 feet away from the action chimes. The whistle should be blown when a lime green item just kind of flies since, as a player, you want to feel safe.
Take a moment to process that.
At this point in the WNBA conversation, color-coded toy trajectories are being examined in a manner similar to that of game tape. This has gotten so out of control. Despite the broadcast's efforts to maintain levity, Sophie Cunningham failed to do so. She doesn't care about the memes. The jokes don't appeal to her. She is here to play hoops. Furthermore, it speaks much more about her supporters than it does about her that she is now having to beg mature adults on social media to stop hurling objects shaped like genitalia at her. However, not everyone was so serious about it. Angel Ree chose to make fun of the circumstance because, let's face it, she has a whole different relationship with viral culture. She allegedly posted a joke about the green toy on Twitter, targeting Sydney Carlson, the Fever Guard. Hello, this is Sid J. Carlson. Why do you persist in hurling your mean green in various settings? It's becoming strange. And see, we understand. It's typical Angel trolling, with a lighthearted tone and laughter. However, Sophie doesn't feel that way. Because this is no longer funny to her and many other gamers. It has to do with safety. Additionally, it alludes to a deeper level. You see, the fact that women in sports are already fighting for recognition is one of the reasons these moments are so powerful. They are fighting for basic decency on the court, respect, protection, and fair compensation. Additionally, a professional event becomes a joke when fans perform such antics. It perpetuates all of the old stereotypes. Every WNBA tweet is a joke. All of the mocking remarks that women's basketball isn't true basketball. Throwing a toy on the ground is disrespectful to the movement as a whole in addition to being disruptive. Not to mention that this is taking place in a league where physicality is already out of hand. Compared to a human crash test dummy, Caitlin Clark has sustained greater injuries. Players are being elbowed in the ribs, jabbed in the eye, and body checked. They must now keep an eye out for projectiles with their feet. That isn't amusement. That is somewhat dangerous. Sophie is not alone in her displeasure, which is quite justified. The players are tired. The shenanigans have worn them out. I'm sick of being viewed more like reality TV than top athletes. I'm sick of the league serving as a playground for those who lack the social skills to behave appropriately. Let's discuss the repercussions. There have been no official bans, arrests, or public humiliations of the offending fans thus far. It was barely touched upon in the broadcast. No statement has been released by the league. And a portion of the issue is that silence. Because if a spectator tossed a bottle during an NBA game, they may face prosecution, stadium bans, or even instant ejection. However, a policeman discreetly wrapped the item in a towel and left it like a Disneyland lost child. No conflict, no repercussions, simply routine operations. That's the distinction. The WNBA is at last receiving the recognition it merits.
But there are clowns in that spotlight.
And more of them will push the boundaries if the league doesn't start clamping down aggressively. This brings us to the actual query. How much longer must it go before someone intervenes? Will a real injury, a postponement of play, or an altercation on the court caused by a rubber object suddenly occur? Because it won't be on the fans anymore if we get there. The league has it. Twice already, the line has been crossed. Additionally, Sophie Cunningham is using a permanent marker to draw it. She is expressing what all players are considering. We are worthy of better than this. We are entitled to supporters who value the game. Arenas where we feel secure are what we deserve. We are entitled to a league that doesn't dismiss it with contempt. Thus, it's possible that Sophie spoke with a hint of ferocity. However, fire might be just what's needed at this moment because, if this is the new normal, then some very unusual outcomes are in order. Feel free to share your thoughts here. Was Sophie correct to voice her opinion? Are these fans going too far in their boundaries? What steps should the WNBA take to prevent this from turning into the next stupid fad? We'll keep pointing out the absurdity until someone finally stops it, so if you're as sick of it as we are, click the subscribe button. This league is too excellent to be taken lightly. Sophie Cunningham, on the other hand, is not laughing. At first, it's simple to chuckle, but this is what they don't get. When you're on the court, this isn't humorous. You're not laughing when a hefty object lands beneath your shoe while you're diving for a loose ball, cutting off a screen, or running full speed toward the rim. You run the danger of tearing your ACL. And it's no longer a joke when it occurs 3 days later.
There is a tendency,
a sick, naive, and attention-seeking trend. Sophie Cunningham also had no intention of overlooking it. These ladies are putting their all into this game. They don't have any lucrative contracts to rely on. They don't have 10 endorsement deals to make up for every setback. They are there because they believe in it, because they enjoy it, and because they are aware that they are making a difference. Additionally, when supporters act like a frat party at work, it's discouraging as well as frustrating. Someone had to speak up, so Sophie Cunningham did. Not with a publicity team or a brand deal. Not with a diluted, sterilized statement. Raw is what she posted. Rio irritated. Don't toss toys onto the court. You will cause harm to one of us.